I wanted to squeeze this video in just before sunset here, and I can actually look at the growing moon right outside my window, and I just got out of the shower and my hair sticking to my head. And what would a video be on this channel without a reference to my hair? And I know that it will shock you that I actually have something positive to say, because the last few readings have been so that I actually have a positive message. So let me just dive right into it. As I mentioned to you, the full moon that occurs in about 48 hours time, today's the 22nd, tomorrow's the 23rd, yes, and today's the 21st. On the 23rd of July at 7:37 p.m. Pacific time, Friday Friday evening, we have the first full moon in Aquarius. And as I mentioned to you, there's going to be a separate full moon video, of course. But as I've mentioned to you, at the time of the full moon, there are three major aspects that are highlighted or codified into this full moon that we are already facing. Mercury trining Neptune, Mercury opposing Pluto, and Mars opposing Jupiter. And I wanted to do this video on Mercury trining Neptune and opposing Pluto. We've had 3 videos on the Sun opposing Pluto, and we have explored all sorts of aspects of Plutonian, Scorpionic, 8th housey, control awareness is the way I would put it. And when I was thinking about Mercury opposing Pluto and trining Neptune, the trine to Neptune especially is much longed for and much waited for, because at the time of the eclipses and Mercury retrograde, it was squaring Neptune. And so we've been waiting for it to trine Neptune, which is a supportive aspect. And I was thinking about, when it comes to sort of Pluto and Plutonian and Scorpio, sometimes we're dealing with addictive tendencies. We could be addicted to a person. Yesterday's video was exploring the romantic side of Plutonian and Scorpionic dynamics. We could be addicted to a person. We could find ourselves in repetitive cycles. We could find ourselves somehow addicted to a way of being that is not really helpful to us. When we talk about even the planet Neptune, addictions come into the picture. And it made me think of things like the 12-step program. And this is a stretch and a ridiculous, but the title of this video was really sort of, I thought, there's something about these aspects that introduces a first step to moving forward. As I've mentioned, these next 6 months have a couple of themes going on with them. One, of course, is related to the last solar eclipse, which is going to cast its shadow on us till at least the lunar eclipse in Taurus on November the 19th. But I would really say the Gemini full moon at the end of December. And I have to tell you, the energies till that Gemini full moon in the middle of December remain kind of murky and choppy in interesting ways, at least as far as the lunations are concerned. I've now looked at all the new moon and the full moon charts until then, and when that Gemini full moon comes up in the middle of December, there's it feels like there's a final exhale of some sort. And then the other second thing is, of course, that with the outer planets that are retrograde, but particularly with Jupiter retrograding back into Aquarius after July the 28th, there's going to be the forward motion and the progress that we experience between December and the middle of May, beginning of May of this year, 2021, is going to come back up to be solidified and codified. It's as if between May, June, and July, we've somehow been given a preview of sort of a cake that is baking for next year, but the cake's still got to bake. And one of the saving graces of these eclipses that we've just gone through, and some of the challenging nature of the energies that we've gone through, is that because Jupiter, Saturn, Chiron, Pluto, Neptune are all retrograde, everything is still up in the mix. Everything is still being... we have a chance to incorporate lessons. We have a chance to, and you'll feel it. You'll feel personally driven to take action and like things are moving forward, but you'll feel energetically like those things that will codify change and final decisions are still somehow up in the air. And that's nice. It's a window for us to step into the lessons that we're being asked to step into and take appropriate action and change the course of action to our liking where we can and where we should try and apply ourselves. The planet Mercury is associated with communication, transactions, communication for all intents and writing, speaking, social media, the use of phones, telephones, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, all picking up the phone and talking to someone, writing, contracts to some extent, legalities to some extent, the written word, the actual writing and articulation of things. Now, processing, mental processing, taking things from an intuitive realm and bringing them into 3D reality. And the only way we can do that on a certain level when it comes to translating it into a certain type of action or processing is through the mind. And so you always have this tension between the higher mind and what it knows and what it is telling you. And our mind, Mercury's curious inability to process what Jupiter or the higher mind is telling or providing, or Uranus or Neptune. But ultimately, we live in this 3D reality, and that's where we've got to process this information and make it work for us. Mercury trining Neptune, you remember, since Mercury in Gemini video that I did and all the eclipse videos, there was a reference to a certain amount of murky behavior and deception and delusion and self-delusion and are we dealing with a grizzly? Are we dealing with a bee in the room? What are our fears? What are we fearing? Is there some shady business going on? Is there some sort of thievery or theft or gaslighting going on? And with Mercury trining Neptune the day after the full moon and opposing Pluto the day after that, there is the ability now to take a first step towards creating a new beginning that somehow tackles these energies. And so much of the solar eclipse in Gemini, which was conjunct to retrograde Mercury and squared Neptune, and it was very much about this throwdown between this very much about processing past energies and past relationships and really determining whether they move forward with us. And with Mercury trying the planet of communication and processing and thinking and cognition and transactions, trining Neptune and opposing Pluto, the planet of controlling behavior, and our awareness of it, which is so fresh given the fact that the sun just a few days ago opposed Pluto and we had a sort of a full Pluto, gives us the ability now to take a set, and you may have already been feeling this energy for the past couple of days, gives us the ability to step into the new world that we are creating by leaving what we need to leave behind. There's a quote, it's funny, I think it's like Cat Stevens' birthday. I think he goes by his first name, I think is Yusuf. I don't know what his last name is, so my apologies to Cat Stevens. It's unlikely that he's going to watch this video. But, there was a quote that someone posted about how in order to become who you want to become, you've got to leave behind who you are, or who you've been, or something along those lines. There is a kind of a sense of there's a need to leave behind energies that have been with us for a while, even going back to 2015, 2016. And even though we're going to be dealing with some sort of lessons associated with these till about 2025, there's a need to really embrace the new set of energies that are being created and that really want to start to happen in the second half of this year. And August is a very important month. And this eclipse on June the 10th is really, and so August the 10th is an important date for that eclipse, is really asking us, because it was conjunct Mercury retrograde, to look at, investigate past issues, past relationships, and really just see whether they're going to move forward with us or not, and if we and to end what needs to be ended. And in ending what needs to be ended, it also becomes a first step towards a new reality that we want to create. Now, for some people, this new reality may include communicating or talking to professional, depending on the nature of murkiness that you're involved with. depending on the nature of controlling behavior you are involved with, either as someone who is um, an actor or actually trying to control someone or do murkiness with someone, or on the receiving end of it, or somewhere a mixture of both. Whether you're being Neptunian or Plutonian, or whether you are on the receiving end of someone who's being Neptunian or Plutonian or Piscean or Scorpionic or 12th housey or 8th housey, um, you know, there's a need to process what is feeling comfortable and what is not feeling comfortable. There's a need to investigate what is not feeling comfortable and determine how real our fears are, and whether we can trust in the process of investigation what we're being told to us. And then there's a need for action. On the milder front, this could mean that we take certain steps that are self-protective and we distance ourselves from those people that a retrograde Mercury wants us to distance ourselves from. They're currently, they have, it's a way of achieving a handshake, and agreeing to disagree or agreeing to move forward on our own paths moving forward. For other people, where the murkiness and the deceptiveness is more complex, more intense, it could be that this Mercury influence means that the investigation or the conversation takes on a more of a legal or talking to the right experts. You may not want to engage with the offending party directly. You may want to, as a part of this investigation, dot your I's and cross your T's separately. Whatever this first step is that moves you towards greater clarity and greater freedom, you now have the transits to help you get there. And part of the reason why we explored the Sun-Mercury opposition in such detail over the past 3 days from this viewpoint of illumination, exploration, not from the party. None of those 3 videos were about go out and fight, as much as they were examine where on the Sun-Pluto opposition you sit, what is being done to you, what is being done by you, where do you fit into all these dynamics, where are they fitting into your life. At this point in time, I would also include, because Mercury so quickly trines Neptune and opposes Pluto, I would also look at those areas that go back to 2015 and 16, and you can go back to the eclipse videos and even the Mercury and Gemini video I did a few weeks ago if you want to kind of understand what dynamics I'm talking about. And I would incorporate those, and over the next 4 or 5 days, I would really start to dive in and cognate, process, and communicate. Whether you're communicating with it, whether you're writing, whether you're journaling, whether you're putting facts down, whether you're putting things in an Excel spreadsheet, whether you're putting things down to just notice sequences and events and dates and, whatever it is that you're doing to make sense of things, processing data, talking about data, and it's time to engage and move towards that new beginning that you want to create that is free of heavier deceptive influences. Whether or not it is time to fight, whether or not it is time to... August is going to be an important month, and I think you will know what to do and when to do it. But as you take the first step, then you take more and more steps towards moving out of addictive, trapping, repetitive patterns that may have been going on since 2015, 2016, or may have built intensity since then. And it may be time to say, okay, after all this thinking, processing, uncomfortable feeling, poker playing, is it time to put pen to paper somehow? Is it time to pick up the phone and talk to someone somehow? And what will that look like, and what am I doing there, and what am I investigating, what am I communicating, what is the process that I'm starting, so that I can get greater peace of mind, or at least greater clarity, so that, again, I can get to a place where I can determine whether it's a bee in the room I'm dealing with, a wasp in the room I'm dealing with, or a grizzly. And whatever it is that I'm dealing with, then I can start to take the appropriate action to bring things to some sort of a resolution, whatever that resolution ends up looking like. I'm going to leave more meditation on sort of the throwdown aspect of this full moon 2 days from now in my full moon video. It is an initiation because we have a full moon in Aquarius, a new moon in Leo, and then another full moon in Aquarius. So whatever this full moon is bringing up as a first step, whether it is a challenge, whether it's a throwdown has negative connotations. It doesn't have to. It could be an offer. Are you going to take it? Are you not? What does this mean for you? What are you going to process? What are you going to think about? It doesn't have to be a negative. So I can tell the light is going down. Thanks for sticking with me. So I'll talk more about that at that time. But I want to encourage now, I want to encourage us to start to come out of the dark a little bit and come out of the eclipse season and come out of the trapping fear, anxiety that the eclipse season created and the oppositions to Pluto have created, and to celebrate that the planet and the faculty, our mind that helps us navigate this 3D world, in some measure at least, whether it is serving our intuition and higher intelligence or in conflict with it, and it's going to be doing both, at some point. The principles, the mind, for most of us, not all of us, should act as a servant, if I want to use that word, or as an agent for our higher intelligence. But it sometimes challenges it, sometimes it can be harnessed by it. It's just its own game that it plays, that we have to develop a relationship with it. But it's time now, with this Mercury-Pluto opposition and this Mercury-Neptune trine, I would not be surprised if you find yourself ready to pick up the pen or pick up the quill or pick up the phone or pick up the whatever and take that first step towards creating a clearer reality that starts to move you out of Neptunian and Plutonian deceptive, delusional, gaslighty and controlling dynamics, whether you are perpetrating them or receiving them or somewhere doing both somehow with different power, whatever that is, and move to a clearer space. It's not going to be that's going to come at no, it's not, it's for some people and for it might, there's no progress without conflict. There's no progress without conflict. I'm trying to be nice and say, well, for some of us it may mean conflict. It might mean some form of conflict for everybody. But remember, if you come from the position of accepting people for who they are, recognizing who they are, how they process information, and not expecting them to miraculously turn into something that you want them to be, then that might change the dynamic or change your own energy in the way that you choose to engage with them and get to a place of agreement. It's not going to be any more or less challenging. It may take the edge off the process and may make you more pragmatic, more positively, more constructively mercurial in the way that you communicate and draft things. So, if someone is naturally, if your experience of them is that they're somehow naturally scheming or they're naturally over-emotional or they're naturally something, rather than expecting them to somehow change and cooperate or act in a completely different manner, you can then use your mind and your communication skills and your cognitive skills and the experts that you talk to engage with them in a way that accepts them for who they are and move towards a resolution. And it will take a certain amount of edge off the entire situation. In certain cases, you may choose not to engage directly with a person, but you may choose to protect yourself or defend yourself somehow. The light is going. Thank you for listening to me. If you like this video, found it useful, share it, comment on it, subscribe to my YouTube channel, click on the bell icon next to the subscribe button so that you can be notified when I do new videos. My contact information, my email information is in the description box below, so if you want to reach out to me to inquire about rates for readings or rates for easy-to-read versions of your chart that I can make, just use that email to do so, okay? The next video I'm going to do is the full moon video. The current plan is that I will do it Friday morning my time, so we'll see how that goes. All right, thanks a lot for sticking with me this week, and I really appreciate the emails and the comments that I have been getting, and more to follow. Thanks.